All right, hello everybody. Mike Westphal here with McDonald Garden Center. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a holiday tablescape. And a holiday tablescape can transition, and that's what's going to be really cool about what I'm going to demonstrate today, is how to, and that's why we use the word holiday, because this is the holiday season. It includes Thanksgiving, it includes Christmas, it includes all of those holidays for lots of different people and lots of different religions and different things that you're going to be doing for the holiday season. But it's all about family. And when we talk about family and bringing families together and coming and friends and getting everybody together, usually we sit around a table just like this. I got my table sitting here, and usually what you want to do is show off a little bit. You want to decorate, you want to create an ambiance, you want to create a look. And so I'm going to show you how to create that with a tablescape. And you might not have heard that word before, tablescape. Maybe you have, but it doesn't have to be a dining room table. It could be a side table. It could be a hallway table. It could be an end table. It could be your mantle. So these are great options and tips and tricks and techniques that you can use all over the home. I mean, I've got one is one of my favorite tips I'm going to show you today on how you can use ribbon. There's lots and lots of different tricks and techniques in here, and lots of different lights, and so we're going to kind of show you all those different things. But what I thought would be really cool is to create kind of a Thanksgiving fall tablescape look, that kind of fall traditional table look, and then transition it very quickly into a Christmas look. And we can do that lots of different ways. But as we do that, I'll kind of explain my technique. So we're going to be kind of like this the whole time. I don't have a bunch of slides or anything. This is a demonstration. This is time for me to be creative and have fun with you guys. And of course, like I said, ask questions, make comments throughout this entire webinar if you've got any questions or comments, but sit back, relax, and enjoy. It won't take me too long. So what I always start with, obviously, is a blank slate. And if you're shopping for things for a tablescape, you can, ask, especially here at the garden center, like, hey, you got any tips or tricks or techniques, or do you have an area that I can kind of maybe play with this? I love to use my shopping cart, so I'll take my shopping cart and I'll kind of lay out how I might kind of lay it out and kind of plan it out in my head a little bit. I tend to also get more. It's always better to have a little bit more. You can always return things if it's within 30 days here at McDonald Garden Center, but you can also say, hey, maybe I'll use this somewhere else if it doesn't work out in this specific spot, and it can tie in. That's what I love about decorating for the holidays, is creating a look that maybe is tied in with the entire room. So whether we use everything that we'll talk about today, maybe you don't, but you can use it in other places. And of course, think about things that you have at home as well. You might have something that you already own that you can use for your tablescape. So a lot of us have some of those things laying around, vases, bowls, glass bowls, lots and lots of different things that you can use for the holiday season to decorate that you already own. But of course, we've got tons of decorations here. So a little bit of both, right? You got to get something new. You got to always add something new, but then always create something new each year and try and get creative. So I'll get started. The first thing that I always like to do is get my main piece. And for a tablescape, it could be a simple pick. It could be something like, let's see, I've got this pick over here that I'm going to use probably. But you could use something like this. I mean, if you're doing a smaller tablescape, see, I've got another one here. So you get two of these, and these could be your base. I mean, you could slide these together, and you've got yourself, a start, and you could put a centerpiece here. Now, what I typically like to do, and for this example, I will go a little bit bigger, and so I'm going to use a garland. Lots and lots of different styles of garland out there. This one I grabbed because I thought, hey, I think people see this and think it's Christmas. It's got to be a Christmas garland, so I need to think Christmas. But we can transform this into a fall. And I grabbed this one because it's got a little magnolia accent. It's got some pine cones, so it's very natural. And it's really, to me, it's more wintry. You could use a flocked garland. You could use a boxwood garland. You could use fresh cut greens. You can use a fresh garland. But I always like to start with a base, and in this case, it's going to be this garland that I chose, and I really like this one. Now, a couple different things that you can do with garlands. This one I want to get flat, so that'll be my first trick, is making sure that I can get this nice and flat and on the table. So we just got to do a little. The nice thing about lifelike garlands is they're all easy to manipulate and change because it's all wired, which is why I love lifelike garlands and wreaths, because I can always change it. Lifelike trees, if I want a big ornament in here, I can always go and change it and create that space. And of course, with Fresh, you can always cut it. So you've always got that option. All right, so this is my base. This is gonna be what I'm gonna use to kind of create this tablescape. And I've got lots of different things that we can add and play with here. But typically what I like to do is just kind of get my base kind of figured out and what I'm gonna buy or what I'm gonna use for this season. And this is gonna stay. This is what I'm gonna use for my Thanksgiving look, my fall look, and then I'm also gonna transition this into a Christmas look as well. Of course, we think of Christmas when we see pine and magnolia and pine cones, but it will transition right, or it'll work very, very well for a fall look as well. Now, a couple different things that you could do with your garland, and we'll kind of play with this a little bit and see if I can do it now, but I probably won't do it this time. But what you can do is, because it's all wired, you could split it, meaning you could have all of this going this direction and all of this going this direction. So I could turn all of this and face it that way. I don't think I'm gonna do that for today. I kind of like it all going in one direction just for this example. But I do tell people a lot, especially on mantle pieces, if you're using a mantle, you typically want it to all go off the mantle one side and all go off the other side. And because it's all wired, you can shape it and use it and form it to go in a different direction. You can also usually unwire it sometimes, and sometimes you'll find, like in this one, there's an exact middle here, and I could actually go and unwire this and have two separate little garlands. This is a 6-foot garland. A lot of garlands come in 9-foot sections, but it just depends on what you're using. I know on my mantle over my fireplace, I use two 6-foot garlands because they drape off, and then I don't have to worry about reshaping them. Most garlands come in a shape like this where it's all flowing in one direction. So Kim said, I love using garland for fall and Thanksgiving. That's exactly right, and that's what we're gonna do today. So let me get this just a little touched up here, make sure my magnolias are where I want them, make sure it's in a nice straight line. And what I usually do sometimes is I will kind of put a little curve in this if I want to. Now, in this case, I might not. I've got a really nice garland. It's got a lot of long pieces. So I can use that and change it and create pockets where I need it. And so a lot of times what I will do is I'll kind of bend it a little bit. So I'll kind of put a little curve in it, just like that. And we might do that. Maybe we'll switch that up for the fall look or for the Christmas look. So that right there would create a pocket here, and a pocket here. So that's a really cool way of doing that as well. But for this instance, for fall, for our Thanksgiving tablescape, let's keep it nice and straight and keep it simple. So we got it kind of where we want it. And don't worry about doing too much work to the garland right away, because you're gonna be changing it throughout the entire time. Now, we've got a great look this year for our holiday season, which is a Thanksgiving look, which adds a lot of orange to it. So orange, of course, you think of in fall, and so I've got this great orange garland. Let me show you all the pieces that I grabbed. So I've got this orange, kind of orange slice garland with this nice twine, which is a very natural look. I've got some orange, a bag of artificial or lifelike oranges with cloves in them, so we could use those. I've got these really nice picks, which have orange and a little bit of pine in them. So this is the orange and cloves with some pine in them, so we could use those. I've got that really nice pick that I showed you at the beginning there, which this is really nice because this has magnolia. It's got the orange with the cloves in it. It's got some pecans. It's got a pine cone. It's got a little bit of berry, some green berry, a magnolia bud, and even the orange slices. So, and it's got a little eucalyptus in here too. So really a lot going on in this pick, and this could really add a lot of texture and color and look and you know, that really kind of high-end look to it. So this is a really, really nice one. So we could use that as well. So let's see, if it's too long for the table, can you cut it? Yes, so you can. You need some wire cutters to cut a magnolia or to cut a garland, but typically what I would say, Ellen, is let it hang off the table. You know, just kind of bend it and let it hang. If you've got the space that it can do that, then I would try that first before you cut it, because once you cut it, it's going to be kind of hard to get it back on, because you need a pretty good pair of wire cutters. Just kind of know where you're going to cut it and cut it one time and be done with it, and then just kind of usually kind of sand off the end if you want to with a little file or something, just so it's not, or wrap a little piece of tape on it so you don't have a sharp edge. But yes, you can definitely cut a lifelike garland, not a problem. So I've got my orange. What else did I grab? So then I started thinking, well, okay, I've got some picks, I've got a garland, I've got a couple different things. You know, I really want some light. I always think about light too. So I grabbed these candles that I thought were really cool. These are pretty new this year. We had a small sample last year, but I really like these. I'll show you a couple other candles that I love as well. But this one is a lifelike virtual candle, and you can probably see that glow there. So it's got a really nice glow to it, and it actually does flicker a little bit. It's not a moving wick. It doesn't have anything super fancy, but what's nice about it is it comes in real glass. It's real wax, and it's battery operated, and you can set it on a timer too. So because I don't want to, maybe I don't want a glass bowl, I just like this look. This would look really good in here. And then, I kind of saw that, and I also said, well, that ties into that magnolia look too. It's got that kind of very similar color, so I could add a little bit of magnolia, a little bit of white to this. I've got a couple different options there. But I think what I'm going to start with, just to start this off, is first, let's see if we like get that off camera so it's not distracting. Let's see if we like this big pick. I mean, I love this pick. It is absolutely amazing. It's very realistic. It's got everything that I've got here as well as a little bit more. So it's pretty big though. It's pretty aggressive. So I think sometimes when it looks too big, then sometimes I maybe say, okay, let me add a little bit more. So let's start with this orange garland. I also grabbed, we have these really cool ornaments as well. So I mean, ornaments, whether they're Christmas or not, these are orange slices as well. Now these could be pumpkins, so you could go get, if you've got some mini pumpkins left over from Halloween, you're saving them, gourds, that kind of stuff. Of course, that is really a great way to decorate. But these would add a little bit of glitz as well if we need a little bit of kind of that shiny, kind of glittery look. But I think what I'm going to start with is this garland. It's 6 feet, it's the exact same length as my garland, and I really like that kind of look because it's consistent throughout, all the way through it. And for me, that just adds something. I've added something to it, so it's really kind of nice. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start it not quite all the way at the end. So I'm gonna let the end be just the garland. And then I'm going to start this just a little bit in so that it gives me a little bit of play. It's the same length as this garland, so it's going to give me a little bit of play to kind of go in and out and kind of work it a little bit. And at first I'm just going to lay it in there, make sure I've kind of got it where I like it, and then realize that I'm going to manipulate and change that a few more times probably before I'm done. So we're just going to kind of let that kind of go in and out and bound, and don't overthink it. You're going to touch this a million times. So kind of get your pieces in, and then you can start to change it. So what I'm seeing is, from my angle, I'm seeing that, I need to get my garland a little bit more shaped out just to hold this. And then let it naturally fall. I mean, that's what I tell people, is don't overthink it. You can kind of tuck it in here and there, let it kind of bound around and do what it's going to do, but don't overthink it. Let it just kind of be natural, because like I said, you're going to play with it constantly, and you can. All right, so I've got my orange garland in there. I really like that. It looks very natural. It's very simple. I'm going to use some greenery probably to hide a little bit of it, so it's not so much looking like it's just sitting right on top, but I really like these. I mean, I kind of debate between the orange, just the single oranges themselves. I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in there, so I could do 3 down here and 3 down here. But I think I really like this pick just because it's easy. It's super easy. All I'm gonna have to do is just kind of insert this somewhere where I want it to go. Now, I'm not quite sure where that's gonna be right now because I wanna place something. I need something to kind of create my tablescape here. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything specific. I'm not. So I think I want my candles to be kind of my centerpiece. So I think what I'm gonna do is I've got 2 different sizes. I've got a taller one, and I've got 2 shorter ones. So I'm going to set those for my timer, so every day they're going to come on at the same exact time. I don't have to think about it at all. And then what I'm going to do is just kind of put these in. I think I want them to be kind of close. I want them to kind of form the centerpiece. So I'm going to kind of put this one in here, and I'm going to, the tall one towards you guys, and then I'm going to put the smaller one back here. But I'm going to keep them kind of close. I mean, I could spread these out, but I think I'm going to keep these kind of close here. I'm going to actually work this one right in here, and then I'm going to play with this. So I've got the orange slices going around this candle, so it's kind of, again, it's not really very, extremely thought out, I guess I should typically say. So I'm going to take this candle, I'm going to pop it in there, So we've got kind of a nice even ratio there, and I'm a little off center from camera there. There we go. So now I've got a tall candle, 2 shorter candles. Always try and work in odds. That's a great tip when you're doing any kind of decorating, especially interior decorating, but even in the landscape. I mean, anything that you do, typically you want to try and think and work in odds if at all possible. So I've got those. I like that. That's kind of my centerpiece. That's my focal point. And then I'm going to use these orange picks to kind of help draw the eye throughout the entire thing. I want them to kind of come down here, just to add a little bit more bright color down here. I get that pick kind of put in there, and then I can kind of just space it out. And then I've got this one here. So I'm going to use that down on this direction. Let's say I'm about 12 inches there from the bottom. So I'm just going to put this one in here. I've got a nice big pine cone down here. Again, kind of, feel free to kind of get aggressive and kind of get in there and kind of manipulate it a little bit, and start to pull things around. So there we go. So that's pretty simple. I mean, that's pretty easy and that's pretty basic. I mean, I love these. If my table got longer, so let's see, I think I can actually shift this down a little bit and show you. If I had an end down here that maybe my table's a little bit longer, I could add this bigger pick to kind of finish that off at the end. And that would actually look really, really good. So we could use that because I really love that magnolia to tie in there with that look. Or, just to give you another option, let's bring this back over, get that a little bit more centered up. Or we could add just these great magnolia clips. I mean, these are really cool. So this is just a simple magnolia bloom on a clip. So I could just tie in this white, and I think I'd probably do it here towards the center. I wouldn't try and get too far away. Remember, let the ends kind of be simple. Usually if it's on a table, like a dining room table, then the ends are where somebody's sitting, so they need space to be able to eat their meal. So I think what I'm going to do is put these in just like that. Just one there. Let's see, I got 2 of them. And then we got another one here. So that one got a little bit closer. I want to get that closer actually to the orange slices. So there we go. So that's there, and that one's there. And now we've got it all tied in. So let's see, this one's kind of a little loose over here. So this is where you'll kind of tidy it up, finish it up. Make sure you got everything kind of looking the way you want. Feel free to tuck it in. It really ties it all together. If you start tucking things in, trying to hide a little bit, you don't want it to be so obvious that we laid it right across the top, but we do want it to kind of look natural. And there we go. And then you're set. And with these candles, you don't really have to cut them on or cut them off every single time. We've got them on a timer, so you can set it for, I think it's 6 hours. Let's see, this is what they look like. This is what the box looks like. These are, like I said, pretty new, from a really cool company, Lumineo, that does all of our string lights. And so it's a wax candle in glass. It's battery operated. It's a 6-hour on, 18-hour off timer. It's LED, battery operated, takes 2 AA's. Super, super simple, really cool, and a nice, very, very classy look. I really like that look. Keep it simple sometimes. Or, like I said, if you want to get a little bit more elaborate, this is a great way of doing that. And look at something like this, and you can say, hey, look, maybe this isn't what I'm going to purchase, but I love all these accents. And that's kind of where I got the idea. The magnolia bloom is from this pick. I mean, it's got a little bit of that orange. It's got everything that I liked. And I basically created it out of this garland that I like. So, and sometimes we'll have garlands like this. What you can do as well is, if you want to create a very simple Christmas look out of this, because this looks great for Thanksgiving, but it also would look great for Christmas as well. This kind of Thanksgiving, kind of Williamsburg kind of look works great into the holidays, into the Christmas season as well. What you could do is add a little bit of red berries. And I got a great example, because here's a really pretty wreath we have made up. And so this is basically the same thing as this garland, right? So it is a gorgeous wreath. It's got some cranberry in it. It's got some pine cones. It's got all that pine, some cedar. It's got those orange slices as well as these really cool ones. And then the red. So the red really makes this look a little bit more Christmas. So you could just add some red berries to this, add a wreath to the room, and then maybe a couple other red accents like maybe this tree over here, and you've got yourself a whole look that's super, super easy and you didn't have to change too much. However, we are going to change this one because I want to give you a couple different tricks and techniques. So, but that's a simple way of kind of transitioning as well. You know, you could take the pumpkins out and you could add some ornaments. You know, it depends on what you're using, but try to kind of think about how you can transition. Ellen said, can you order any of the things that you are showing? Haven't had much luck finding pretty garland and picks like that. So Ellen, I'm assuming you probably don't live in our neck of the woods, and unfortunately we don't sell online, but we do have gorgeous stuff if you're close-ish. I would definitely say make the drive because our decorations and our lifelike garlands and our wreaths and our ornaments and all of our picks are just absolutely to die for. I mean, they're just amazing. So, but if you can't find them locally, you know, the best option is look at your local garden centers. If you can find a bigger local garden center nearby, they probably do the holidays up. But if you can get to our neck of the woods, that's the best option because I don't sell online. And typically buying stuff like this, I do typically recommend trying to buy it in person if at all possible because you want to be able to touch it, you want to be able to see it, you want to see, you know, I know this, I hope it looks great on camera, but sometimes, you know, you got to touch it and see it to believe it sometimes. I mean, definitely whenever I buy a lifelike tree or even a cut tree or anything, it's you kind of have to see it. It's hard to trust somebody else to pick that for you, and it's nice to kind of see it. So, Ellen, I hope that helped. I know I wish we could sell online, but we don't have that capabilities as of yet. We'll work towards it in the future. All right, so now let's transition this into a Christmas look. Love these candles. I'm gonna go put them on the mantle. I'm gonna go use them somewhere else. So we're gonna take these out. These are great. These actually are nice because I can use these year round. I mean, I can put one in the bathroom. I could use it for a nice, you know, tablescape in the spring, you know, just up on the mantle year round. They're great candles. So let's get those. Let's see, I'm gonna put these down here actually. And then let's take everything out because I'm gonna completely change it. So we're gonna take these magnolias. Now, because I don't wanna always say, hey, you gotta go buy everything new. I mean, well, obviously we're gonna keep the garland, so we're going to use that again, but I might bring those magnolia picks back out. And the reason I say that is because let's change this up. So let's kind of go a little bit different, keeping our base the same. The base is going to be this garland. So let's put that curve in it. I want to play with that curve a little bit. So as it's wired, I can put that curve there. So I got a nice big curve here. And I'm going to put a curve here as well. And then one here as well. Curves, so, and a lot of this comes from, you know, if you're a gardener, then you know landscape and landscape design, and you might know a little bit about that. Maybe you've worked in your yard and you figured that out a little bit. Maybe you've talked to us, or maybe we've come and done your landscape, or maybe you've had a landscaper do it. Always in odds and always curves. You know, you don't want a lot of straight lines. I mean, it works well when you're working with something like this. You can do a straight line, but I do love adding curves because now I've got two pockets here and I've got a pocket here. So now I can really kind of add some bigger elements and I can make this a little bit bigger. It's Christmas time, and so I want to make this a little bit bigger. So let me show you some of the things I grabbed and we'll see how much we can put in here. And a lot of times I put a lot in, and then maybe I'll edit a little bit as well. But I love these kind of velvety red trees. So I grabbed a couple of these because I thought they might look good, grouped together, kind of like this, maybe in this pocket. So we've got that option. So we can always think about that. I grabbed some ornaments because I really like to use ornaments. So I've grabbed some ornaments here, these red ornaments. I'm going to go obviously over to a little bit of a red look here. So I've got these red ornaments. I love these kind of mercury glass looking ornaments with this kind of rustic, old world kind of looking top to it. So I've got this one that's kind of in this pine cone shape to tie in with the pine cones, add some red, and then I've got just a classic red ball in that same kind of mercury glass look. So we've got these two. So I've got those. I've got my magnolia in case I need it. I grabbed some ribbon because I'm going to show you this really cool trick with ribbon. And I always try and, of course, you know, don't try and get super matchy with your ribbons and your colors and everything. If you're going red, all reds typically work together. But I had a kind of a little bit more glitzy ribbon, but I did change over for this more satin ribbon because while it's not obviously the same red, It's very kind of that kind of same feel. You know, a lot of what I'm not doing, or a lot of what I'm doing is not super glitzy. So I didn't want to go with kind of that sheer kind of metallic-y kind of ribbon. So I've got these trees, I've got some ribbon, let's see, I've got some more candles, so I love candles. They just add a lot of light, and when you think of a tablescape, I typically think of candles. Doesn't have to be, but typically you do. So I grabbed these Simplex candles. Now I grabbed a red one, but then I kind of said, you know what, I need to like brighten it up a little bit. So I went back to the white. So I grabbed these white ones. Now these are really cool. These are Simplex candles. They're actual virtual candles. I'll turn this one on for you. I know it's gonna be hard for you to see a little bit. I don't know if I can make it a little bit darker. There we go, let's see. See there. So you can kind of see that virtual candle, and look how realistic that looks. I mean, so what this is a 360-degree wick. Probably can't see it like that. Maybe if I turn it off. So there's a 360-degree wick in there. It works off of the north-south poles, so it's magnetized. So there's no fan blowing in there. So a lot of them are a flapper. It's a flat flapper. So if you catch it on this side, you don't see it, but if you catch it on this side, it looks like a flame. There's a light that shines up onto it and a fan that blows it back and forth. Well, if the fan dies, then it doesn't work anymore. If you catch it from this angle, you don't really see the flame, and the light shining up doesn't quite look the same, because when that flapper moves, it kind of has a look of a flame, but the LED light is actually built into the flame, into that actual wick, and it starts blue and it goes to warm white. So it looks absolutely amazing. It'll never stop moving. I mean, you'll see it kind of stop moving a little bit, but then it kind of picks back up again. That's because it's playing off those magnets inside. And it takes 2C batteries. You can set it on a time. You can actually get a remote control to change it. So you can change it from this kind of, flame. You can dim it down. You can brighten it up. So lots of functionality to these candles. Absolutely love them. All right, I'll get off my soapbox on my Simplex candles, but I do love these. So I've got one of these, and I'm going to kind of tuck this in here. And I try not to get super symmetrical, although sometimes being symmetrical in a tablescape, especially like a dining room table, does help. So I've got two of these. So I'm going to set those, I think, in here. I'm just kind of thinking right now. So I think I'm going to set these in here. So I've got those two set. And then, for my centerpiece, I grabbed a nice cool one. So this is what Simplex candles look like. They come in these really nice boxes. So here's that red one. So Simplex candles. This one is cool. As you can see, it's a round shape. So we're going to open this one up. Blow the little styrofoam in there. I already put batteries in it. So now this can be my centerpiece. Now I could put that on a plate. I could put it on a glass dish. I could put it in a glass bowl. I could do lots and lots of different things with it. I think for now, I'm just going to try and nestle it in here. I think it's definitely going to be my centerpiece. So what I want to do is I want to take some of this pine and this magnolia, and I want to kind of create a little bit of an alcove for it so I can get it nice and tucked up in here. So because everything's movable, I'm just going to move it out of the way and tuck my round candle up there, and then allow me to kind of lay a little bit of that pine and that lifelike garland around it, so it kind of feels like it's giving a little bit of a hug. All right, so now we've got our two candles. I've got this. So I've kind of got a base. Well, for me, the holidays is all about light. I love light. I love to light up the holidays. I like to use lots of different lights. So I absolutely love Invisilights. Now this is a different one. Most of our Invisilights, as you can see right here on this tree, so I've got this little Norfolk Island pine that I put these Invisilights on. You can see a lot of people might call them fairy lights, micro LED lights. This one's actually on a copper wire, so it really shows off that copper with that kind of gold and that red ribbon. So that was a really pretty look. But they also come in green, which is why we call them Invisilights, because it almost disappears. The wire is so thin, it's flexible, it's easy to use, and they're battery operated. So this is 60 lights. This would be, let's see, I think it's 20 feet long. Yeah, 20 feet long, 60 lights. I could work that in and out all the way through here and have a battery operated. But because I actually have power, maybe this is a dining room table that I've got a little power accessibility to. Maybe it's an end table, but I wanted to show off another type of light. And so these come in silver, copper, and green, Invisilights, micro LED, fairy lights, absolutely awesome. I always just have a bunch of these laying around because you just never know when you're going to need them. I've got them on my mantle, I use them on my tablescapes, but this one is really different and unique. So it's green, but it's a cluster light. So what that means is it's got all of these little kind of hands that come off of it with all these little individual light bulbs. So I've got this, and these don't come in battery operated. Typically your battery operateds are going to be a straight line, but they work perfectly well. This is just kind of a different look. So I'll plug these in so you can see what they look like. And so it's kind of what I would call maybe like a crab light, but really unique look to them. So we're going to take these, and what I love about this is it's a little bit of a shorter length. So this is what the box looks like, and it's made by Holiday Bright Lights, and they're 270 lights, 15 feet length. So not a whole lot of length. I mean, it's actually shorter than my 60 light battery operated. So this is 15 feet. That's all it is. And then it's 270 lights. But it is pluggable, so you got to plug it in. But they can connect too. So great for like banisters if you're creating like a little bit of a garland or something down your banister, down your staircase. These are indoor or outdoor, so I absolutely love these. So we're gonna take these, and because they're pretty bright, but I think about like dimming the lights at dinner time and letting the Christmas lights shine around the holiday season. So I'm going to kind of work this into that garland because I do want it to kind of dim down a little bit. So we'll just kind of work those through there just like that. It doesn't have to be these, could be the battery operated. You can hide the battery pack. Usually what I'll do with the battery pack is I'll kind of tuck it somewhere where I've got something that I can kind of use to hide it, and then I'll just work it one way and then back down the other and then come back. Because it's 20 feet length, so with a 6-foot garland, you can go back and forth 3 times. So really, really nice one. But I love this cluster light. Plus, it's just fast and easy, and it's done. And I like to show it off because it's one of my favorite lights. So there we've got that. So that's all tucked in place. Remember, don't fiddle with it too much. Just kind of tuck it and play with it for a little bit and then move on. Let it be natural. So I've got my Simplex candles, got my main candle here in the center. Now I need to add some red. I mean, that's what we talked about. I want to put red in here. So I've got these really cool trees. I do think I want to use these. Now I've got the candle in place. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this candle a little bit closer to the center candle, but on the back side of the curve, and then I'm going to add these trees. Just kind of like that. Got 2 more over here. And I might edit some of this stuff away. It depends. But I do like these, and I do want to add some red to it. So move that candle a little bit closer in. See, I know I'm not super centered here. Let me shift over so I can get a little bit centered. All right. So now I just got to move a little bit of my garland a little bit. And then I've got the bigger tree towards the center and the smaller tree off to the side. And don't always have to do it in a perfectly straight line. We can kind of play with depth, and we're just trying to add texture and a little bit of color. So now we've got our red tied into these and then here. And I like that play in height too. It doesn't have to be super tall here. We don't have to go back and big. We can kind of keep it low and simple and keep the height toward the edges and then bring it in. All right, so I've got that. I still need more red. So I actually found, so I showed you those ornaments earlier, but I found this really nice little cranberry garland, which again is 6 feet long, so it works perfect. And you want to talk about simple, this is simple. We actually carry ornaments on a garland like this as well. So I'm going to use this to add a little bit of red. And again, I'm not going to think about it too much. I'm just going to kind of place it in there. Remember, I'm going to let it kind of be not all the way to the end because I want to allow it to kind of bob and weave throughout the garland. And if I try and stretch it all the way to the end, then it's going to look a little bit like I planned it out way too much. So again, want it to be a little natural. Want it to kind of just do its own thing here. See, that's a little, that just needs to be tucked. This needs to be tucked. There we go. Don't think about it too much. All right, so now we got a little bit of red. A red berry pick probably would have looked good. Let me show you this one cool thing that I did grab. This is actually battery operated, and it's got lights, and it's got red berries, and it's got a little bit of pine cone in there. So let's see, let me light this up for you, I'll show you. This would look great just by itself. And I thought it was a little bit too big and bulky, so that's kind of why I didn't use it for this. But I do think it's kind of interesting that you can use a garland on top of a garland. I mean, this is really a light garland that I used in here, but this would be a different garland. It's battery operated, so I wouldn't need a plug. And it has lights in it, built into it. It's all flexible, it's all wire, and it's got red berries and it's got pine cones. So that would actually look good, worked right into this, and that could add a lot of different things for me. But I wanted to kind of, create, so that's what I wanted to do, was kind of make this myself. So I've got the red berries, my candles, my trees. I really like that. I want to add a little bit of a little bit of life. So we just got these little poinsettias in. Now your centerpiece could be a big poinsettia. As we get closer to the holidays, obviously we'll have lots more of those. But these are really cute. They come with this nice little red kind of ornament, which ties almost perfectly into that mercury glass ornament. I mean, look at that. It's almost perfect. Like I planned it, and I didn't. So put that in there. Got another one here. We're just going to tuck in here. So, I mentioned doing everything's in odds, but as you can see, we're getting a lot of evens, but that's okay. Completely fine. So I just want that to kind of tuck back in a little bit more. So I've just got to create this pocket a little bit more here. There we go. So now I've got a little bit of real in here. I've got some poinsettias. I found this really pretty winterberry. This is a ground cover, but it's a really nice looking little plant. It's got berries on it, real berries. I love that maroon color. I thought it would tie in great with this tree, kind of added a little bit of a different red, but I like these poinsettias. They were in ornaments. It was super easy. I didn't have to worry about finding a pot for it. So it was kind of like super, super simple and done. So I really like that. So there we go. I've got my poinsettias now, I've got my trees, I've got this red berry. Now I really want to use these ornaments. So I'm going to just tuck these in. These are super, super simple. Really towards the ends is really where I'm seeing, and I know you probably can't quite see, but where I really see that I'm kind of lacking in some texture and some depth. So I'm going to add this down here. Oh good, you can see that. And then I'll add this one down here. And I'm just going to tie these into a little piece of garland here, a little piece of because it's wired and I can kind of tie it in nice and tight. And I know, oh, good, you can kind of see that one as well. And then I've got the two balls. So again, we're kind of doing a lot of things in evens here, which is just different, but it's very symmetrical, which is fine. Being symmetrical is perfectly fine, especially during the holiday season. It's just hard sometimes when you're symmetrical all the time because if you lose something, if I dropped one of these and broke them, then oh no, now what am I gonna do? I can't find them anymore, they don't make them anymore. So I do like to kind of try and be a little bit asymmetrical at some points if I can. And that's why I like the groupings of odds is really, really nice. So you can always think about it as groupings. So that looks really good right in front of the tree. Adds a little bit of color there. Let's see, this one I think we can put in right here. Perfect. All right, well this is really becoming very red and very cool, but it's a little it's just kind of hard for me. So I want to add some lightness and some airiness, and that's where ribbon comes in for me. I can't stress enough what ribbon does to any kind of decorating. I mentioned those magnolias. That would actually help brighten up and actually kind of take a little bit of that white down the table. So we could put those in there. But I think for now, I'm just going to add some ribbon. Keep the red going. It's holiday season. I got lots of white lights. I've got my white candles that help tie that in. I mean, I could omit the candles, put a big poinsettia here, and then maybe bring in the two red candles and tie those in. But I think the ribbon is going to add a lot of texture and a lot of that kind of airiness that this needs, because it's very, very kind of structure, and I want to add some flow to it. So that's what ribbon does for me, is adds texture, adds just that kind of nice airiness. And a lot of people struggle with, oh man, now I've got to work this ribbon all the way through here. Or maybe you have decorated and you're like, I need to add ribbon. Well, here's the trick. Take a piece of ribbon and cut it. So here I'm going to cut them probably slightly different lengths. I'm not even really going to think about it too much. I want some small pieces. I want some bigger pieces. So about a small piece would be about a foot length. So about 10 to 12 inches. So this nice little tiny piece. And then what I'm going to do is there's two different sides to it. And one's a little bit more sheery. One's a little bit more kind of glittery. But really they're kind of both kind of satiny. They don't really. And then what I do is I just kind of pinch it a little bit, and then I'm just going to tuck it in. So I'm just going to pop it in like that. So let's go here and here. So I'm just going to do another little tiny one because, as I said, I'm being super symmetrical, which I don't love, but it's working so far, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that and just tuck it there and there, and it just looks like it's bounding in and out. And I don't have to really think about it too much. And then I'm going to take slightly longer piece because you want it to make it look like it's going in and out and in and out and in and out, and you want it to look very natural. I mean, that's how kind of, if you were really to do it, that's how you would do it, but it's so much easier this way. So this piece is going to be almost maybe 18, 24 inches long. And then I'm going to just take it and do the same thing. Oh, I tuck it in and tuck it in. And they don't have to meet. I know right there it did, but it doesn't have to. And then just kind of let it kind of do its thing. Don't think about it too much. Don't overthink it. Just do it, and then you can come back and play with it. So we'll take another slightly longer piece. And we'll pinch, and we'll pop it in. And then we'll just kind of take it and let it just kind of, and then I just kind of take that loop and just kind of push it in. And look at that. I mean, just by adding that airiness to it, it's just changed this tablescape dramatically. So I'm going to take a couple of little pieces here. These are going to be a little bit smaller, more like the 6 to 8 inch length, because you want it to be like a tiny section, a bigger section, a tiny section, you know, and don't think about it too much. Don't make it, it doesn't have to be measured. You don't have to really overthink it too much. But this is my favorite trick, is just taking a couple little pieces, cutting it off. Don't worry about it. And then what you can do at the end of the season is you can roll them up. You can just take them and just kind of roll them up into like little kind of, you know, mini rolls. So then you can just store that, and then next year you can pull it back out, pull it apart, and then you can tuck it in. And it works great on a tree too. You just tuck them into the tree. You can make it come straight down. You can make it go all the way around. You can just make it haphazard. It's a great trick. All right, so there we go. So now the only thing that I would probably consider is, could I add these? Well, I've got a lot going on, and I don't think I need it. And this is where you sometimes say, okay, maybe I need to omit something, or I need to maybe edit a little bit, and that's fine. And like I mentioned earlier, if you want to edit, you could edit away something and you could go put it somewhere else in the room, you know, and you could use that to kind of tie that whole theme into that entire room. I love the curve in here. I think the magnolia would really look great down here towards the end, just to tie in a little bit of that white. So I am going to pop them in there. Why not, right? Go big. I don't know if you can even see that one. So we'll kind of put it over here just so it, not that this is 100% where I would put it, but just so you can maybe see it on camera there a little bit. I'll kind of shift that. Bring our ornament over there. Perfect. All right. So that's basically how you would do it. And that's, again, it's playing with height, it's playing with texture, it's just kind of being creative. We got some red berries throughout it. You could, like I said, you could use a red berry pick. You could, and this could be any theme or any color. You could go with more of like the gold look, which if I were gonna do gold, works great with magnolia. So I could do gold, I could do like the copper Invisalights, I could add a little bit of red with maybe the red Simplex candles. You could go silver. You could add a little bit of frost with like a frosted eucalyptus pick or a frosted pine pick. And then that kind of ties into maybe a little bit of blue. If you love blue for the holidays, you can add a little bit of blue into it. There's so many different looks. This is basically taking a theme. And here at McDonald Garden Center, we do a ton of themes each year. So as I showed you with that kind of Thanksgiving look, that fall look, that's a theme. And then you can kind of use that. And I can use these elements in different places around the home every single year. So maybe one year it's a wreath on the front door. Maybe one year it's my mantle. Maybe one year it's a tablescape in the hallway, or my dining room table, or a sideboard, or wherever you might want to use it. It's easy to transition these things. It's easy to keep all these pieces. Think about some of the pieces that you have at home as well. So you got lots and lots of options. The ornaments could go on the tree next year. The lights could be used on the mantle. I could change this. The candles can be used year round. So lots and lots of options. The ribbon, yes, you've cut, but save it because you just never know when you'll need it again. And these are just some great tips and tricks that I think will help you decorate for the holiday season. I think this turned out great. I really like the look of it. See, looks really, really green right here. I'm seeing that now. So again, you just kind of take some stuff and just kind of play with it a little bit, and just there we go. Just like that, we've added a little bit more color. So we can take that ornament there. There we go. All right. So very, very simple, and you'll touch and maneuver and change this all the way through the holiday season, but that's what makes it fun, and that's what makes decorating fun, is that it's constantly changing and kind of you're adding things, you're taking away things. Oh, I need this over here now, so let me bring something else into it. So you kind of keep your creativity going throughout the season. And of course, if you're stumped and you don't know what to do next, come in and see us here at McDonald Garden Center. So I hope you all enjoyed this. I hope you learned a little bit about how to create a tablescape, and I hope I've inspired you to get decorating for the holiday season, because it's here. It's time to start decorating and make a tablescape. Get creative and come in and talk to us, and we'll help you along the way. So I don't see any other questions. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope to see you here at the Garden Center this holiday season. We'll be around, we'll be decorating, we're going to continue to decorate all the way through the holiday season. We got lots more tips and tricks and different things in store to help you decorate for the holiday season. All right, thanks, Jill. Can't wait to come and explore your Christmas shop. Thanks, we can't wait to see you. All right, Kelly, thank you, have a great day. I hope you all enjoyed this. Let me go back to my little closing here. Thanks again for joining me for the holiday season, and we'll see you next time. So hope to see you here around the Garden Center. Bye, Pamela. Bye, everybody.